We live in a flat, spiral galaxy known as the Milky Way. Other galaxies, called ellipticals, are shaped like rugby balls. Yet, Hoag's object appears to be neither. It has an older yellow core surrounded by an outer ring of young blue stars. But in the middle, it has absolutely nothing. It's like something has swept away the spirals. There is no other galaxy in the universe quite like it, and astronomers are stumped as to how this donut-shaped galaxy even formed. Hoag's object was spotted in 1950 by American astronomer Arthur Hoag, and perhaps the most feasible explanation offered so far is that 2 to 3 billion years ago, a small galaxy sped through the larger disk-shaped galaxy, creating this unusual structure. But there is no sign of any galaxies nearby that might have served as the bullet, and such a collision would have sped up the core of Hoag's object, whereas observations show that it spins quite slowly. To add to the conundrum, if you look closely at the roughly 1 o'clock position, there is a smaller version of the galaxy hidden within itself. Galaxies are the largest things in the universe. Happily for us, they come in only a few varieties, making them easier to identify and theorize about. Nearly all are either elliptical, ball-shaped, irregular, or else spirals of various kinds. But a handful of oddballs fit neither of these categories, and this one galaxy stands all by itself. A tiny faint 16th magnitude ring surrounding a ball-like center, Hoag's object was reasonably assumed to be a planetary nebula at the time of its discovery, a nearby puff of gas expelled from a single old-age star. The galaxy has approximately 8 billion stars and is roughly 100,000 light-years across. Hoag also proposed an alternative and far more exotic explanation that this was an Einstein ring from a faraway quasar. You can check out our videos on quasars to know more about this. In this scenario, the quasar's light is distorted into a halo by space warping caused by a massive foreground spherical galaxy that it seems to surround. But later, spectroscopic studies rejected this because the golden central ball and the blue ring have exactly the same redshift, indicating a whopping rushaway speed of 7,916 miles per second, which proves that they're both located exactly the same distance from us. Many of the galaxy's other details remain mysterious, foremost of which is how it even formed. So-called classic ring galaxies are generally formed by the collision of a small galaxy with a larger disk-shaped galaxy, producing a density wave in the disk that leads to a characteristic ring-like appearance. Such an event would have happened at least 2 to 3 billion years ago and may have resembled the processes that form polar ring galaxies. However, there is no sign of any second galaxy that would have acted, as mentioned before, as the bullet, and likely the older core of Hoag's object has a very low velocity relative to the ring, making the typical formation hypothesis quite unlikely. Observations with one of the most sensitive telescopes have also failed to uncover any faint galaxy fragments that should be observable in a collision scenario. However, a team of scientists that analyzed the galaxy admitted that if the carnage happened more than 3 billion years ago, there might not be any detritus left to see. Noah Bros suggested that Hoag's object might be the product of an extreme bar instability that occurred a few billion years ago in a barred spiral galaxy. However, this claim was devalued as an unlikely hypothesis because the nucleus of the object is spheroidal, whereas the nucleus of a barred spiral galaxy is disc-shaped, among other things. However, they also admit that evidence is somewhat thin for this particular dispute to be settled satisfactorily. A few other galaxies share the primary characteristics of Hoag's object, including a bright detached ring of stars, but their centers are elongated or barred, and they may exhibit some spiral structure. While none matches Hoag's object in symmetry, these galaxies are known to some as Hoag-type galaxies. Visually on the outside, is a ring dominated by bright blue stars, while near the center lies a ball of much redder stars that are likely to be much older. Between the two is a gap that appears almost completely dark. How Hoag's object formed, including its nearly perfect round of rings and stars, is yet to be known. Genesis hypotheses include a galaxy collision billions of years ago, and also the gravitational effect of a central bar that has since vanished. The featured photo taken by Hubble Space Telescope and recently reprocessed using an artificially intelligent denoising algorithm shows observations and radio waves that indicate that Hoag's object has not accreted a smaller galaxy in the past billion years. Hoag's object spans about 100,000 light-years and lies about 600 million light-years away toward the constellation of the Snake Serpents. Many galaxies clear in the distance are visible toward right, while coincidentally, visible in the gap at about 7 o'clock is another more distant ring galaxy. You can check out our other videos for similar esoteric and strange objects within the universe.